what's up, everyone? It's your girl V, and welcome to another episode of Mindful Unfoldings. It's a new week, new episode, and no guest. Today, it's just me, and I just decided to have an episode alone because when the season started, I started immediately with having guests and without setting the tone completely for season three. And I know I said the season is going to be very much conversations with other people and just learning and hearing from other people's experiences on life and everything that they've been through in general. So today's episode is basically about me and what I've been learning in the past couple of months and the journey that I've taken into starting the podcast. And I'm not really sure what I'm going to name this episode, but I know for sure the direction in which we're taking it because there's a lot that I've learned that I felt it's very important to share because ultimately me starting the podcast was mainly about me learning and helping you learn from my experience, if that makes sense, or the things that I learn I want to share with people because I never had people sharing the things that they've learned with me for a really long time in my 20s or even when I was in high school or primary school. In fact, I never had people to go back to. And I felt like this platform is what I want people to go back to. I want people to be able to come here and sort of get motivated and sort of look at life in a different way. And literally yesterday, I remember yesterday I woke up and I felt very anxious as to what I asked myself, and I was like to God, like, what am I doing with the podcast? Like, where are you taking me with this thing? And he literally like gave me this Bible verse, Ecclesiastes 3 verse 1, where he says there's a time for everything, a season for every activity under the heavens. And when I thought about it, when I read that verse, it just reminds me of God and how he ordains times and seasons for a reason. And I'm going somewhere with it because I feel like when I started the podcast, I was a different person to who I am now. When I started the podcast, I was very much flesh driven. I was very much into the world things. Like I was just doing the podcast because it's something that I knew I had to do. And I knew that I had to start it. And I didn't know where it was going to take me. I didn't know I didn't see myself being where I am right now with the podcast and having the type of production that I have, or just saying the things that I say and speaking about the experiences that I speak about with the people that I've met. And when I say the Lord sort of orchestrates seasons for a reason, I think about how when you get closer to God, the more you get tempted into thinking that you are far away from what he wants you to do and the purpose that he has over your life. And it reminds me of the story in the Bible about Adam and Eve, where God made Eve to be Adam's helper. And he gave them everything. And remember, they were not clothed and they didn't know, they did not have a problem with it. They didn't know anything because God gave them everything that they needed to be and gave them one command. And that command was to literally to not eat from the tree. And I know we all know the story, but I'm telling it so that you can see where I'm going with the story. So when God gave Adam and Eve that command, what did Adam and Eve decide to do? They didn't decide to do anything. Actually, the serpent came in representative of Satan. And one thing I've learned about the story of Adam and Eve is that Satan knows what you want. God also knows what you want. Do you know the saying of, there's people like saying this thing of like, oh no, I don't want to speak things into the universe because there's always someone else listening, meaning Satan's always listening. And what if he tries to disrupt my plans? But here's what I've learned Satan does, right? So Adam and Eve, when Satan came to Eve, he literally said, why are you not eating the apple? It looks nice, it looks juicy, it looks fruity. Why are you not eating it? Like, why, if you eat it, you will gain God's wisdom. And I'm sure that's what you want, right? And he sold Eve this image of, if I eat it, I'm going to be exactly like God. Whereas God has given her exactly what she is and what she needed. And all she had to do was just not eat the apple. But Satan presented something and sort of deceived her into believing that if she eats the apple, she's going to be better than she already is. But now, this is what I've learned in my journey with walking with Christ is that Satan really will come for you with what you want, but in his way of doing it, not the way God wants you to do it. So, in most cases, Satan would be like, I don't know, he'll come in a form, let's say you have a best friend and he'll bring another friend. That friend will probably do everything that you want, that you could possibly want or desire. You guys will go out, you guys will spoil each other, you'll do every single thing together. Yet you have this other friend who does the same thing but in a subtle way. But now Satan will convince you that the other friend is unworthy of being your best friend and they're not aligned with you because this friend is taking you to things of the world. And things that I've always said was when you enter relationships with people, if they push you further away from God, you know that they're not meant for you. But Satan sort of convinces you that, oh no, it's okay to live life. It's okay to do all of the things that you're doing. It's okay to go to the club and sleep with multiple men. It's okay to do everything that you're doing because you're meant to live life. Life is worth living. Where God says you can have a little bit of fun, but do it in a sense of with me. So when you know, when you like, it's important to know the right between like good and evil. Do you understand what I mean? Because when Adam and Eve ate the apple, what happened? They suffered consequences of their actions, of what they decided to do. And what happened? They realized that they were naked. And when they realized that they were naked, what happened? They were very, very much confused. And they were like, why would he leave us naked? Why is this happening? Why didn't he clothe us? Why are we not clothed? And the Lord said, but I had told you to not eat the apple. My command was to listen to what I am telling you so that you can live a free life, a life with a freedom. And I think because we operate off of our own strength, and we do things because of what we want to do and how we want to do them, I think that's why we fall short of so many circumstances and so many decisions that we go through because we're operating off of our own strength and not the wisdom of God. And I've realized that the closer I get to God, the more I realize how important and how grateful I am for what and the wisdom I am like encountering. And yesterday someone sent me a message on Instagram and they were just thanking me and they were like, thank you so much for taking the chance to push yourself and put yourself out there because God is using you. And I was like, yesterday when I woke up, I was very doubting. I was doubting myself and I'm like, God, are you sure this is what you want me to do? Because the more I follow God, the more lonely it gets, the more my priorities change, the more I'm not after the same things that everybody is after. And I think it pushes you to be a different person. And I think with my journey of spirituality and just healing in general, I've realized a lot that comes with the responsibility and the desires that you have. For a very long time, I remember I have spoken about there was a time where I was definitely going through something quite hectic, something unexpected. And I remember how I said I was in like the waiting room, I was in my waiting season. And now seeing where I am now and seeing that God really does answer prayers, my prayers literally changed from God help me and God give me to God, what are you doing for me in this season? And I think that's what I wanted to really share to everybody because most messages that I get is, how did you figure out that you're meant to have a podcast? How did you figure out that you're meant to do this? I went to the Lord with my heart's desires and I said, if this is what's meant for me, you will open up the doors to push me and put me in those rooms that I'm meant to be in. And the thing is, most people don't realize that sometimes you're really not meant to have a seat at the table. You're meant to own the table. That's like your table. But because your mind and your desires are faced on the wrong things, you don't realize that. And you now are beneath what God sees you and thinks you're capable for. It's like, there's this thing that says when you get excited and when you are close to what you want, the devil tempts you with everything beneath you. It looks like it's for you, but he tempts you with everything beneath you. And this is where I also say it's very important to invite God in every aspect of your life, to have a secret place with him. I try my best every day to hold myself accountable and to literally just spend, even if it's just 30 minutes, just reading the Bible and understanding what the Lord is saying about a specific situation. And it changes your lifestyle because now you're more mindful of the decisions you make. Now you're inviting Him in your friendships, you're inviting Him in your workplace, you're inviting Him in everything that you're doing. And you sort of now have a sense of authority and you know when Satan is trying to tempt you and when God is speaking to you. And I think it's just something that I felt like was necessary to speak about because even our guest next week, it's a girl that I met. I was at a church conference, Sisters of Africa, that I met last week, and we just had a very literally the 3 days that I've no 2 days actually that I'd spent with her. We had very interesting and insightful conversations because you don't realize how much of experience people go through that is not really necessary, but it is necessary because God knew that it was going to take you closer to Him. And my thing or my message right now, I'm actually very thankful for the work that God has done for me or in me. And my prayers changed again from God bless me and God help me and to God align me with your will for my life or for your the will that you have for my life. Yes, like align me to what you want me to do and give me the wisdom and the clarity and everything that I would need to make sure that I walk firm in that will, that even though it does get hard, that I don't forget that you are God and this is what you want me to do. Even though it doesn't look the way I want it to, I know that there's a purpose behind it. And that's what I'm trying to encourage people to do, that I don't really have it all figured out, but it's working as it is working. So you will see we're going to go into it next week with our guest, and she's going to share her story. And if you listen back to the other podcasts and what people have shared about their stories, that they went through certain things but still kept their eye on the Lord and what He had planned for them. So that was my encouragement and my mental journal, not even mental journal, but my message to everybody, because that's the common ask in the messages and everything that people ask about the podcast and the episodes in general and where we're going with the season. And right now I'm at a point, and my hope and my desire is that God uses me as a vessel for His kingdom, that I can reach out to people, that I can help people in whatever capacity I can from Him. So I always say, God, speak through me, God, work in me so people can see me as a reflection of you. And I'm a reflection of God's grace and mercy, and you're a reflection of God's grace and mercy. And we don't deserve it, and we live with sin, but God has not given up on you. The same way He didn't really give up on Adam and Eve. They just suffered the consequences of their sin. Do you understand what I mean? And that's just where I'm at right now. And I'm really just praying for alignment and for God to align me and to consistently push me into the direction that He has intended for me. And I've let go of my desires. And I know it's scary. It's so scary letting go of your desires and giving full control to what God has planned for you, and to just say, you know what, God, do what you have to do. It is very scary, but it's like when you know that you're going to get something good out of it, and when you have faith and hope that even when it's hard right now, the light that I'll see at the end is going to be so much brighter than I have intended. I promise you the road and the journey becomes easier. So just cultivate a really healthy prayer life. There's so many people on YouTube. If you don't want to go to church, I know people have a problem with going to churches because they have bad experiences, but there's so many people on YouTube. There's so many people who are there to guide you and help you on your faith journeys so that you can become the person God wants you to be, and so you can see yourself the way God sees you. And I know that's what everybody desires at the end of the day, and that's what you should desire if you don't. So yeah, that is my message for you guys today. I'm so excited for the next 2 weeks with the guests that we're going to have, because these are conversations that we've been having. These are conversations that I've been praying on and asking God to prepare me for. So I know the next 2 weeks are going to be very, very informative and filled with hope, because you're going to hear how much so many people bear so much but still come out stronger and better than they would have ever imagined. So my message to you guys is to just create a safe space with you and the Lord, and just really just start changing your mindset and your prayers, and just pray for alignment. Pray that you're in the right place at the right time. Pray that you have discernment so you can see the difference between right and wrong. So you can see the difference between this is not my friend, this is my friend, so that you can avoid getting hurt. Then even when you do get hurt, you know that, okay, God is fixing and He's moving and He's preparing me for my table. Because not everyone is meant to have a seat at the table. Some of you are actually meant to be the head of the table. You just don't realize it. So yeah, just change your mindset and cultivate, and just desire more and want more for yourself, and God will give it to you. In faith and in hope, it is yours. That's what He's always encouraged us to do. And that's what I'm encouraging you guys to do. And I just want to thank everybody who's been sending me DMs and emails. Oh, I'm literally a crybaby. Yesterday, I sent a screenshot to my best friend and I'm like, yo, this person is making me cry. But again, God speaks in multiple ways. And it's crazy to see how this platform is helping so many of you guys. And I'm so grateful because it's not about me anymore, but it's about you guys and what I can do to help everybody that's watching and just learning from the experience of mindful unfolding. And I can't wait to see where we will be this time next year. I know we're going to be going places that we haven't imagined, and I'm so excited. So I will see you guys next week when we have our guest Lerato, and I know she's excited as well as much as I'm excited. And yeah, we will hear what we have to speak about. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Follow Busang Studios on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Also follow Mindful Unfoldings on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And don't forget to leave a comment. You can DM us, message us. We'll respond when we can. And tell us what you'd like us to hear, what we'd like us to talk about. We're open to suggestions. And yes, see you guys next week. Love and light. Woo! Shine.